To Namibia, where people are voting for a new parliament and president in elections that could transform the Southwest African country's political landscape. The ruling SWAPO party is looking to extend its 34-year hold on power, putting forward a female candidate for the first time. But SWAPO's popularity has slipped amid growing frustration over unemployment and poverty.
She's known as NNN, Natumbo Nandi Ndeitwa, and is leading the charge for Namibia's governing SWAPO party in this election. If successful, she would be the country's first female leader. Currently the vice president, she's also known as a veteran of Namibia's struggle for liberation from apartheid South Africa in 1990, and as someone who has devoted her life to politics.
I'm proud to have a mentality of liberation, because having liberated the people of Namibia politically, I'm now ready to liberate them economically.
Some 14 other candidates are running for president. But out of 4 main challenges, it's this man, former dentist Pandulini Itula, who, it seems, could cause the biggest upset for the governing party. He founded a new political grouping in 2020 and is promising to address the economic hardship that is making life difficult for so many in Namibia.
And as a result of poverty, a lot of our people have got no food to eat, and children are dying of hunger.
Inequality and a lack of opportunity have been among the issues driving the election campaign. Namibia is rich in minerals and exports diamonds and uranium. But not many of the country's 3 million people benefit from this wealth. Unemployment is high, especially for young people. This is a source of frustration, and one that has led to a drop in support for the governing SWAPO party, and could see them being forced to take part in a second round for the first time since they led Namibia to independence more than 3 decades ago.
Well, our reporter Jasko Rust joins us from the Namibian capital Windhoek. Welcome, Jasko. How's your election day going?
Thank you very much, Phil. Well, there's been a buzz in the air for the past couple of days, really, already. Analysts have called this one of the most exciting elections since independence in 1990. And we've seen some of the reasons in the report earlier. Over 90% of the eligible population actually registered. And it seems like a lot of them are actually coming out to vote today. It is very important to state, though, that this buzz is always creating a rather positive atmosphere, as is tradition in Namibia. Peaceful and orderly elections are what we are experiencing here since the independence. It is now, we'll now have to see whether that stays like that for the rest of the day, but I'm not expecting anything else but a peaceful rest of the day. And people are actually, despite the temperatures in the high 30 degrees, still queuing up. I had the opportunity to speak some of the people here at the polling stations in the morning already. Some of them came last night already just to be first in queue and cast their votes. So people are really eager to make their voice heard here.
And we heard in our report that poverty and unemployment are big issues there. Have they been campaign issues?
Well, yes, that's absolutely been the center of most of the campaigns. Youth unemployment especially is a major issue. Some figures suggest that up to 50% of young people in Namibia are currently without a job. So obviously most parties actually focused on that. But there are other issues that were talked about. And one of those issues certainly is the question of land, the distribution of land, especially when it comes to ancestral land. That has still not been finalized. At the same time, we're talking about reconciliation. Namibia, for example, Germany, for example, has been a former colonial power here in Namibia. And the reconciliation efforts, they are also not finalized. At the same time, there is a lack of adequate housing for a lot of people, especially in rural, but also in the informal settlements, in those areas around the major urban centers in Namibia. And last but not least, there is a huge issue with climate change effects that are really felt here in Namibia. Currently, Namibia is experiencing one of the highest or the the worst droughts in its history, and agriculture is suffering. The agricultural sector is so important. Almost 70% of the people here are thought to actually rely on the agricultural sector. So these are some of the topics that have been spoken about in the campaigning stage, and now we will have to see what the voters will actually come to say about this.
OK, and on that, which way do you see it going? Is Namibia likely to become part of this trend that we've seen in southern African countries like South Africa and Botswana and Mauritius, where long-standing ruling parties or liberation movements have actually been voted out of office?
Well, Phil, it's very difficult to say because there is no polling before, so we can only do a bit of guesswork, actually. But most analysts expect the long-ruling SWAPO party to retain their power, but maybe in a weakened position. We have new political players, like, for example, Panduleni Itula with its IPC, and we have young activists-turned-politicians like Job Amopanda with his movement AR, that are trying to make their mark on the political landscape here in Namibia. The main issue has always been that the opposition has been traditionally very weak. So the question remains whether these oppositional parties, even the new ones, can actually offer the questions that people are looking for. There is no doubt about the fact that Namibians are frustrated, but it comes down to whether or not there is an answer within these oppositional parties. And we mustn't forget that the dynamics here are very different. So I'm not predicting an outcome like, for example, in Botswana and Mauritius.
All right, thank you, Jasko. Jasko Rust in Windhoek.